Hello, AniCod here, and today we're doing a slightly different video. I'm going to show you all the spawn locations on the house. I'm going to show you the best ways and best places to defend attackers from entering, and I'm going to show you the best spawn kill locations as well to get those cheeky early kills. We're going to be looking at construction to start with, then we're going to move on to docks. After that, we're going to move on to the APC area and then finish it off with a little bit of side street. Now, we're going to start off with construction, which is probably the most common one, arguably, and this is what it looks like when you spawn in. Now, instantly there's places you need to watch from as soon as you spawn in, including this window up here. Now, most people, especially in casual, the first thing they do when they spawn in is just run immediately. If you do that and there is someone up there, it's not going to end well for you. So there's also a couple of windows. There's also the main door, which I've already knocked down. So if you don't know how to get to that window, it's an age-old trick what's been around since day dot. You can use C4, you can use shotguns. Just remember, if you are using a shotgun, then you're probably not going to have a gun with enough range to take advantage of this spawn killing area. Now, there's also a little window that you can catch people out with. However, one thing to remember with that is, long gone are the days where you can just knock a hole in a window or door board and then just stand there peering through it and just wait for someone to run into sight. That used to work when the game first got released. It just doesn't work anymore, so just be wary. If you are going to use the window holes, at least find some better cover and stand further back. Now, there's not an awful lot of places you can move further back and look down on because of the ingenious way that Ubisoft have created this map. There's actually quite a lot of cover for the attackers, which you can understand. There's also a little side window here that you can have a cheeky little view at, but you do have to jump outside to get your view because of, like I mentioned before, the little tree that Ubisoft placed there on purpose. Just remember, you have got the docks on this side, so if you are jumping out the window, just be wary that there could be someone running up from the docks to have a nice cheeky little look at you. Now, most people that run in from construction go in through the front door. I've already knocked the front door down on this section, but if you want to defend it and you don't want to stand right in front of the front door, there's a few different things you can do. The best one I found is by knocking through, as you can see here, and then running into the little broom cupboard, the little walk-in wardrobe. Again, I know I'm doing this with an attacker, but I'm just showing you the different angles and the different views you've got. So you can see at head height from in here, looking all the way through. If you don't want to be in here, or it's been reinforced, or you feel vulnerable from the window behind you from the master bedroom, you can stand in front. You're a little bit more exposed, especially from the window on the left, but you have got cover there, and this is what it looks like for an attacker that's actually coming in through the door. And you can see that the wall is pretty much broken. You can't see much else, and from first looks you wouldn't really expect anyone to be behind there because of how high it is, but as you get closer, there is a tiny little hole you can see just there, and that's the hole that a defender's going to be looking through and see the whole body when the attacker can only see a little bit. It is quite common, people coming from construction, to actually come in through the side entrance and come into the basement. This takes you into the gym area. Now, I'm not sure why people enjoy going in here so much, because it does bottleneck you quite a lot into a certain area, and it's almost like shooting fish in a barrel, especially when there's a handful of places that defenders can use, which I'm going to show you now, that pretty much covers the whole of the gym area for people entering through the basement side area. Now, one interesting thing is the hatch at the top, which is quite common. However, what some people don't realise is the beams in the floor actually run parallel, so it's pointless actually standing over a hatch when you can use the metal beams as cover, and the metal beams are bulletproof, by the way. And one thing you just need to watch is the door behind you, depending where the attackers are coming in. This is what they see. They see a pretty obvious big hole in the roof, but they don't suspect the little kill holes behind it, and you could use that to your advantage. By the time the attacker sees it, it's probably already too late for them. There's also a little area here which is way more simple, and you can actually use the big concrete wall as cover. Now, you might be wondering why I've actually blown a couple more holes in the wall, and it's very simple. It's because the more holes there is in a wall, the more the attacker's eyes are drawn to them. If you've just got one hole in a wall, the attacker is probably going to pre-fire that hole, or that's going to be the first thing they look at. Now, you can actually use this wall as well, and you can actually get them as they're coming in. If you want to be far away from the attackers as they're coming in, there's another ingenious little thing you can use here. Now, Now you can actually use a complete boathouse as cover. Now I know I'm using sledge here, but as I mentioned, I'm just showing you the different angles you've got. Obviously you'll be doing this with a shotgun. If you're in the boat area, then you can actually see the door there, and that's actually epic cover. By the time the attackers realise what's happening, they're probably already dead. This is what the attacker can see as he's coming in. He's got the kill holes to the right, he's got lots of different areas that he can be shot from, and the last thing he's doing is looking at a little hole behind the weights bench. That's probably not one to expect. This is why I'm not a big fan of coming in through the bottom area, so it's just one thing to watch. A lot of people don't use the drones as they should. Drones are still one of the most underrated bits of kit on here, and I don't understand why. Before you go into anywhere, get your drone in, find out what's happening. Now the next area then is the docks, and in my opinion one of the most dangerous areas to spawn in from. It can also be the most rewarding depending how good you are as a player. Now there's already 3 levels you have to watch, including 2 huge garage doors that could have multiple kill holes. You've got top windows, medium, height windows, and it's a lot to take in and it's a lot to keep your mind on. Now here's an example from right at the other end of the house. Just by blowing through a few doors you can actually see the docks, and this is what you're going to actually see as an attacker. As you can see, not a lot. The smoke from the car is actually obscuring your view slightly as well, which isn't great, and that's giving defenders using this little tactic an advantage. So it's at this point here where you can actually just about see anyone laying down, but at that point you're already dead. Now there's also a top window, but the cover is really bad in the top window, so I would recommend not using that. You can actually blow through the little side room, the little office area, and you can see right the way in and through as well. So for example, if you blow the window out of the side, you can actually use this little area here to see right out onto the dock, and you can see anyone making the way up. Just remember that window is going to be out, so it is going to draw the eye. Now one little good thing about this is you can actually shoot through the little holes in the middle, and the outside bits are still bulletproof, which is a pretty good detail. So if there is anyone coming in from the side room, you can actually use it as temporary cover. Now this is what an attacker sees when they're actually coming up from the dock, and as you can see, it's not a lot, which straight away gives the defender the main advantage. And even as an attacker, you've got to get up quite close before you can see what's happening, and at this point the attacker's already dead. There's so many angles you can shoot through this wall, it's probably not worth being on this area, and it's one area I'd strongly recommend staying away from. So another little bit is through the garage door and through the second wall as well. You can get a bit closer, and there's a reason why I've blown up the top holes in the garage door, as you can see, and it's a reason I'm going to show you now. So if any attacker's got any scoped weapon on the gun and they see a hole, they're going to aim at the hole, and they're not going to see the tiny little hole in the bottom right hand side, as you can see, because it's obscured by the scope. It don't matter what angle you have it on, it's a tiny little hole at the bottom, and at that point there the attacker is already dead before he realizes there's a hole in the bottom right hand side. Remember, as a defender, you're not trying to get an ace from the same kill hole. You need to get 1, maybe 2 kills if you're feeling lucky, and get yourself out of there. It's not worth the risk hanging about. Change position often. So the next little area then is the APC area. Now this is one of the most safer places to spawn. If you're wondering why it's called the APC area, well, there's an APC here. So there's a couple of little areas then. You have got a top window, which is the master bedroom. There's also a doorway on the bottom floor which leads through into the main corridor next to the pool room. Apart from that, it's relatively safe. So there is a couple of angles you can shoot down from if you're trying to get a couple of spawn kills, but they're not fantastic. This one's actually the child's bedroom looking down. You can actually use the other window as well. Again, it's not fantastic. You might be able to catch 1 or 2 people if they run the opposite way to the APC, if they want to get around the other side of the house, but it's probably not recommended, and this is why I think spawning at the APC area is quite a safe place. Here's another reason it's a safe place, and it's the simple fact of the fence is bulletproof. Yeah, you cannot shoot through this fence. So if you spawn at the APC, nothing's going to be able to get through at you. So from the actual master bedroom then, you can look out and see a couple of angles. Again, remember what I just said, you can't shoot through the fence, so don't try and get some cheap kills that way. But overall, there's not a lot of places you can kill from in this area. Now, people running up to the side door, you can actually shoot through, and this is like the little kitchen area stood on the trapdoor at the minute, so it is possible to shoot through there and get a couple of kills maybe from someone or some people coming in through the side. This is what the actual attacker sees as it's coming through, not a lot. So the defender has definitely got the advantage here when it comes down to seeing in the opposition. So you can even go as far back as the pool room if you want to keep the door guarded. There's not as much cover here, but it is an option. My favourite though is actually the floor just above, and as you can see now, the floor slats run parallel with the door, so you can actually stay quite far back and see the door really well. So this is what the attacker actually sees in that situation. Pretty much nothing. Most attackers won't be looking at the roof, they'll be looking straight on, trying to look at the holes to the left, to the right, and at that point the attacker's already dead before he realises what's happening. Remember, the good thing about an attacker coming in from a doorway is the feet are seen first before the body, so it gives defenders a bit more time to react. So the final area then is the side street. Now there's a couple of sneaky little angles a defender can get on you when you spawn in this area. One of them is actually the child's bedroom, the side window, so be very careful for that one. Another one is actually obscured slightly by a tree, which goes as an advantage and disadvantage to you. Remember, it's tricky for you to see them and it's tricky for them to see you, but everyone what spawns at the side street tends to run up the side garden bit towards the APC area, which begs the question, why don't you just spawn at the APC area? So here's the sneaky little angle that I was telling you about, and it's going to be good for a defender to get 1, maybe 2 kills if they're feeling lucky before shifting areas, so it is something to watch. But a top tip I've got for you is you can actually use the slats to your advantage when you're looking at the fence as a defender, and you can look to see if the window's open. If it is open, you can maybe pre-fire up here, even get a drone if you've got one close enough. If not, just stay away from that area altogether and run around the APC way across the bulletproof fence. What I've seen defenders doing before is actually running from one window to another, so they'll run out, have a couple of pot shots, and then run into another side window. Good way of getting killed that way if you're a defender. So I have seen it work from time to time, but this is what I was talking about before in regards to the angles you can get. You can use the slight little bushes to your advantage and shoot through the bushes if you know the windows are open, get some pre-fires going, and then carry on going round towards the bulletproof fence area. So I really genuinely hope you've enjoyed the video. This is the first video I've had out like this, so if you did enjoy it or you learned something new, feel free to leave a like, and I know to make another video and get it out there for you. If you didn't like it, feel free to let me know in the comments and I'll move back onto my weapon build and operator videos if that's what you prefer. Again, to know what I'm working on, you can follow me on Twitter, and if you want to see a thumbnail before the video even drops, you can follow me on Instagram as well. It's a nice little bonus. If you do want to see any more of these videos, feel free to drop a subscribe and enable the bell notification, and anytime a new video drops, you'll be notified straight away. Again, really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, especially if you've watched this far. You're an absolute legend, unless you're washing pots and you've just left your phone on by accident. But anyway, thanks everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye.